who was probably not fit to run the company, begged his father, "This is a family. You can't sell it.
Mm.
Please let me keep it and run it." Anyway, the son ran it into the ground. It went bankrupt.
Mm.
So,
Wow.
um, you know, these are things we see all the time.
Yeah, it's hard to get out of some of those ruts that happen, every generation. Like you mentioned, you want to pass it on to your family, and that's not always the best place. Yeah. I did a deal with the PJ Tour years ago to bring the first alcohol in official hard spirit to the PJ Tour,
Well,
and it took a year. They really dug into their company culture, their consumer culture, what would be acceptable based on how they've presented themselves from a marketing perspective and every other thing. And really, the only way that we got the deal done is because it included Arnold Palmer and a level of partnership that fit everybody. And oftentimes, I think getting creative with deals could be the one thing that makes them happen. Have you seen much creativity outside or way outside the box thinking in some of the stuff you've done?
an awful lot. I mean, that's how, if you're doing certain things, you have to make sure that you think outside the box. Most deals that are just a vanilla deal don't necessarily fly. You have to be creative. You have to look at the tax. You have to look at this. You have to look at that. It's all important.
Yeah, yeah. Do you find that from an investor perspective and the investors that you've dealt with, is it more important to review the personalities in the business, or is it all about the black and white on paper?
Well, well, I sort of mentioned that before, and then chemistry is essential in a deal,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you want to retain the management. If the management does not get along with the buyers and the sellers, the deal will be a disaster. Now, certainly, if you're buying the deal company because all you want to do is own their property or own their products or own their patents, it really doesn't make any sense. The owner will go away.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we've seen disasters where the chemistry just isn't right. We've also seen disasters where companies are bought and the new owner thinks they're so much better than the company they acquired. They forget that the company they acquired has DNA, it has profits and everything else, and they end up firing or dismissing the management or the key management. And 90% of the time, those companies will run into serious trouble.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure a lot of people hit you up for advice whether to exit or to invest. Specifically on exiting, I run into people fairly frequently or read different posts that people are talking about wanting to sell their company or they're not sure it's the right time and maybe the business isn't going the right direction. They're thinking about selling. Are you of the opinion that if you're even remotely thinking that way, that it's probably more than time to move on and get out if you're already questioning where you're at, or do you think it's worth sticking out?
I think it depends upon the person. It depends upon what the objective are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, are they afraid they're going to die, that they're going to be sick? Are they afraid of the competition? Are they afraid that they just can't grow anymore? I mean, I can give you 100 different reasons why to do something or not to do something. So you
Sure.
have to stay on top of that.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to understand where you're at in any given space. Well, talk to me about this book for a minute as we kind of wrap up our time together. Deal Junkie is out, and it says a half century of deals that brought the biggest U.S. retail and apparel companies to answer the moment and prepare for the future. What can we expect from the book? I know you've mentioned or referred to a couple deals that are in there. What's the format, and what are we going to read about?
The format is, I really wrote it for three reasons. One is I wrote it for my family
Hmm.
so that my grandchildren or great grandchildren will know a little bit about me and what I have been doing for the last 50 or 60 years. I wrote it secondly because the industry is changing and there's so much that goes on and so many great things that happen and so many things that didn't happen that there are lessons to be learned, especially if you're interested in mergers, acquisitions,
Mm-hmm.
and live stream. And the third is I have a lot of lessons in there for young investment bankers, young deal makers to understand what's important, what's not important. So those are the three basic reasons. And I think you can buy it on Amazon. I believe it's on the Kindle site as well as in Amazon.com. I think it's in. They told me it's in Barnes and Noble, and it's in Target. I don't know, but that's what the publisher has told me. And I was very lucky because in Palm Beach, the number one bestseller in the Palm Beach bookstore was my book last week.
Oh,
it was in the paper.
Congratulations. And it's no surprise. It's got some wonderful praise from Tommy Hilfiger, Leonard Lauder from Estee Lauder Companies, and Stuart Weitzman, to name a couple. Clearly, you've made an impact on some lives out there. I absolutely love the fact that one of the reasons you wrote it was as a legacy to your family and letting them hear what you've been up to the last 50 years. So it's a wonderful way for them to get to know a little bit more about you, probably during those days that you were gone from, I'm sure you missed a couple family parties along the road.
A lot of hockey games of my sons.
Good for you. Well, look, we appreciate your time, your wisdom. We really appreciate this book that you put out. I know, for one, I am looking forward to reading it, getting my copy of Deal Junkie, and we will post up on the show notes where they can buy it. So understand you're taking a trip over the pond, as they say. I hope you have a wonderful time with your wife over there.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for listening to today's show. It is my pleasure and honor to interview all of the guests that have been on the Answer is Yes podcast. If you have enjoyed the show, please go on iTunes and subscribe, give a rating, or simply tell a friend about the show. We also believe in the message of our guests and the positive influence of their stories. As my own mentor and coach, David Meltzer, has taught me, spend some time every day thinking and writing about the things in your own life that you have more than enough of. You will find out how blessed we really are. Please visit my website, livelifedriven.com, for the latest updates about me and what I'm doing. Plus, I post a monthly blog about the many topics on this show. This podcast can also be found there. As I learned early on in life, what you believe is what you will achieve. Thanks, Mark Victor Hansen, and thank you, and have a great week.